Hi, today we will see the difference between IEnumerable and IQueryable interfaces, and we'll see their uses, and we'll see the the example for IEnumerable and IQueryable, when to use them, and we'll see what are the major difference between IEnumerable and IQueryable. We'll see when to use IEnumerable and when to use IQueryable. See, we use uh, IEnumerable and IQueryable interfaces when we are working with the collections of data, right? So collection of data, it could be in the memory, or the data, it may be in the server. Say for example, server, in the sense the data may be in the SQL server, or it could be from any web services, or it could be in some third party source. So the major difference between the IEnumerable and IQueryable interfaces is the client side execution, that is client side execution and the server side execution. So what it means, so when I say in memory, you'll see the points on IEnumerable first. So whenever we want to work with the in memory collection, we will go for IEnumerable, and whenever we want to work with the remote data, will go for iQueryable interfaces. So when I say in memory, so in memory data, it could be the data from the array, or data from any list, or the data already that loaded from the database. So whenever we have the data in the memory, and whenever we apply link operations, so whenever we do link to object, right? So say for example, operation in the sense, maybe when we do a where, uh, when you want to put any conditions, when you want to use order by, when you want to select anything from the collection. So whenever we apply any link queue uh, on the in-memory collections, we'll go for IEnumerable. The client-side execution means whenever we apply any operation, the execution happens on the client side. Means it will load first. It will load all the data. It could be 1,000 records, or it could be some million records. First, it will load all the data in the memory, and then it will apply the it will execute the link operation. So normally we use IEnumerable when we want to loop through any collection in memory data, in memory collection of data, and we have, and we can say that for example IEnumerable, and we'll see iQueryable also. So there are some points. The major difference between IEnumerable and the iQueryable. The iQueryable, as I was telling you, whenever we want to deal with in-memory collection, we'll go for IEnumerable interface. Whenever we deal with the remote data source, the remote data source, it could be your SQL data server, or it could be some web services, or it could be some any kind of data source. So that time, so we can go for iQueryable. The purpose of going for iQueryable is it won't load all the data which is there in the remote data source. Say for example, we have 1 million records. So I want to read only the first 1,000 records in the data, in the database, right? In that case, if we go for IEnumerable, what will happen is first it will load all the 1 million records in the memory, and it will apply the uh, link queue operations. Then means it will execute link queue operations in the memory. But in case of iQueryable, the uh, server side execution happens, in the sense whenever we apply any link queue uh, operations, or filtering, or sorting, or any kind of operation when we do, so those execution happens on the server side, not on the client side, right? So that's a major difference between the iQueryable and IEnumerable. Means whenever we deal with iQueryable, we means we are dealing with, means we can deal with, when we are dealing with the remote data source, we can go for IEnumerable. When we are dealing with in-memory collection, we can go for IEnumerable interface. And execution have one in IEnumerable. In case of IEnumerable collection, the execution happens on the client side, and in case of iQueryable interface, this the execution happens on the server side. And performance optimization in the sense, see, when we use iQueryable, so it will improve the performance much better than IEnumerable. Maybe because, say for example, maybe we have some 1 million records in the database. So if I use IEnumerable, what will happen is, so we are fetching all the 1 million records from the server into the memory, that is in memory, and we will apply the filter on 1 million records, and definitely it is going to take more time, and it is since we are fetching 1 million records from the server, so it is a overhead, right? It is a network overhead, as well as it will take more time to do the operations, since we are applying the filter on 1 million records, then it will give you data. So it is time consuming process. Definitely in such scenarios we have to prefer iQueryable interface, wherein the execution happens on the server side. Means even though we use specify any when you apply the link queue operations on the remote data, the execution happens on the server side. It will fetch only the required data onto the application. Means it will get that particular data in memory, and it will so work on that. So with this, it will improve a lot of performance issues when we deal with the IEnumerable. So performance wise, definitely we should go for iQueryable interface when we are dealing with remote data, and when we are dealing with the huge volume of data. But when we have collection of data which is in memory, and it's good to go for IEnumerable. Now we will see the example of IEnumerable and iQueryable. So these are the same points that we discuss. One is in-memory collection. IEnumerable is dealing with in-memory collection. Execution happens client side, and we'll use it for simple iterations when we want to loop through. iQueryable, when we are dealing with remote data, definitely we'll go for iQueryable, and the execution happens on server side, means it will fetch only the required data, means it will load only the required data. But in case of IEnumerable, it will load all the data in the memory, and then it will apply the link queue operations. But in case of the iQueryable, it will not execute any query on the client side. It will execute any query, I mean link to query on the server side. It will fetch only the required data onto our application. Definitely it is going to improve performance. First, let me see the example for iQueryable, sorry, IEnumerable. Here in IEnumerable, I have some list of integers, so it is a in-memory collection. So I have some numbers added into the this list, so we can say it is the collection. Now the numbers is a in-memory collection, right? So now when I say as enumerable, so here it will load all the data into this collection, and then whenever we filter, first it will load all the data. Me, yeah, it will load all the data. If it is 100 data or 1 million record, whatever it is, it will load all the data, and the operation, the link operation happens on the whole data rather than bunch of records, right? So definitely it will take some time, but yeah, it is good to go with for in-memory collection. And also whenever we want to do some the loops, of when you want to do looping of the collections, like you can use like this. So let me execute this guy, and just we'll see how it see the output also. Yeah, we It's taking some time. Yeah, here nothing. So it is printed, right? So you can see it has printed all the filter data. So in this case, what will happen? It will load all the data and it will filter and it will loop through. So it is a simple one. So here we are dealing with in memory. So we say that maybe I will close this guy and I'll run it again. So I'll put a breakpoint here and hmm, okay, okay. I keep this output window out next to our coding. We'll get to see what will happen. See now I'll go one by one. So here in this case, so it will load all the data. So we have 8 records here. Now we have some 3 records or maybe some 5 records. Then it will start printing. Here you can see after loading it will start printing here, right? So this is how the simple IEnumerable collection works. Means the we use IEnumerable when we are dealing with the in-memory collection. The in-memory collection, it could be list of some data, list of some simple type or complex type, or it could be some array. And we will consider we will go for IQueryable when we are dealing with the remote data, as we were discussing in our last discussion the points. So for that, let me show you some example for that. Okay, see here I have prepared on program for this, right? So okay, see here in this what we have is I have the context. Means I have created, I'm using entity framework core here. So when I say context, I have created a context, I have connected to the database, and when I'm getting the data from the database, then it will query the data. So in case of iQueryable, so whenever we say it won't load all the data at once, means it will load only the required data and it will execute the query on the server side. So whatever the points we discuss, we'll see programmatically how it works. See, for example, if I run this guy, I debug or run it, you can see here. Now here, if I go to here, see still the data is not loaded yet, right? So we have applied the filter, but the filter will be executed on server side that we were discussing. We'll see that. So whenever we say uh, the to list, right, then the query will be executed. You can see here. I think this is wrong example. I think I have to set this as iQueryable. Set as, sorry for that. We have to put a breakpoint here. I'll stop this guy and I'll run it again. See here. Now I'll say this guy. Okay. Now if you look at this guy, if you look at the output window, so nothing has